Welcome, everyone, to the City Council meeting today, July 13, 2026. I now call this meeting to order. Roll call.
District 1, Councilmember Casey, absent. District 2, Councilmember Vieira.
Here.
District 3, Councilmember Otero.
Here.
District 4, Vice Mayor Martinez.
Present.
Mayor Lopez.
Here. Please stand for the invocation by Patrick Davis from the Ceres Christian Center, and he will be on Zoom, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance led by Whitney Alberchat. Welcome.
To the mayor and all of the city council members there, I just want to say that I'm so thankful for all that you do for the city of Ceres. So let's pray and ask God to show up here and be in our proceedings today. Heavenly Father, we thank you that you are a God who gives wisdom. So be with the council members as they discuss the important business of governing in a way that brings you glory and it benefits the citizens of Ceres. Be with us, we pray today, our Father. In Jesus' name, amen.
Okay, Whitney, are you here? Whenever you're ready, okay? Right up to that microphone.
Hi. Okay. My name is Indy Arbach, and I'll be doing the Pledge of the Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice.
Great job. Make sure you take that certificate. That one's for you, okay? Thank you very much. And welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to begin with presentations. We have a presentation by code enforcement. This is the second quarter presentation. And excuse me. Okay, sounds good. What we're going to do is we're going to skip presentations, and we'll come back to that presentation for code enforcement once they are here and available. And we're going to go ahead and open this up to citizens communications. The City Council welcomes and encourages participation in City Council meetings. As a matter of fact, we're going to roll that back. Code enforcement is back. Presentations. The code enforcement second quarter presentation analysis. Welcome.
Good evening. Alrighty. Good evening, council, mayor, staff, and City of Ceres residents. My name is Cassandra. I'm Code Enforcement Secretary. This presentation is to highlight the progress, accomplishments, and impact of code enforcement within our quarter two, and a quick glimpse for our fiscal year that just ended. Also want to talk about what code enforcement is actually accomplishing, the problems the city faces in the code enforcement realm, and what support may be needed within code. Alrighty, so next slide will be our overview and the code enforcement priorities. So first and foremost, the code enforcement team is here to protect the public's health and safety, respond to any community concerns, addressing blight issues, and really just get properties into compliance and voluntary compliance. We work across city departments to resolve these complex issues. One of them being our unpermitted food vendors. We've been tackling that with our Department of Environmental Resources, and we've had very successful nights. That's something we're going to continue working on. Another issue that we've run into, as we all know, our Triple R gas station. While we wait for approval on our abatement process, our legal process, to get Triple R all cleaned up, our biggest issue there are trespassers. Property is red tag. So while we wait for the city legal team to pursue the formal abatement, I think right now that biggest issue is trespassers. Lazy wheels is another issue. I'm happy to share that Lazy Wheels, with an inspection done today, Lazy Wheels is all cleared up from the piles of debris. Within the next couple of weeks, we should be seeing the property being leveled out and ready for preparation for the next project. So we want to really thank everybody and the diligent work code enforcement's been doing with the property owner. Tuscany Village was sold again. Our code enforcement officer was able to get a hold of new property owners. We did have some ongoing violations out there. Weed abatement has been taken care of, and the property it's been gated again. So thank you, Officer Taylor, for that. Interdepartmental projects within code enforcement. In order to successfully do our job, it does take a lot of collaboration within our outside agencies and within our city. So code enforcement just wants to extend our sincere appreciation to all of our city departments and outside agencies for their support in making our team successful. Lastly, a priority of ours is just continue to develop relationships with our businesses, our property owners, our property residents, while increasing awareness of who we are, what code enforcement does, and how we actually serve the community. Okay, so moving forward with our fiscal year performance achievements and goals. Within this last year, we, as code enforcement, have started a new initiative, which is our revenue recovery initiative, which started in October, where we focused efforts to identify, track, and pursue outstanding balances with past and current, code cases that are open or closed. Since the initiative has started, we have recovered over $3,500 in past due balances. So that's an achievement for us. Our interdepartmental coordination. So once a month, we've revamped our system of how we meet. And once a month, code enforcement meets with departments within the city or our outside agencies, where we given them allocated time to really talk about what their initiatives are, their goals within their department or agencies, and see how we can tackle these problems or goals together. I would love to talk about a success story later on in the presentation. Lastly, our goals are to explore tools, resources through our KCO agency, and just help process improvements and streamline our workflows, increase efficiency, especially because code enforcement is a small but mighty team. Next slide is our performance within our fiscal year. So starting July 25, ending June 26. I guess to sum up really what this is, code enforcement, like I said, is a 3-team unit. But throughout the fiscal year, this team has done a lot of work, whether it be from receiving cases, which we've received within this last fiscal year, over 1,000 calls for service, closing out a good amount of them, educating our residents and our property owners to help mitigate long-term issues. But the code enforcement unit has maintained a high level of productivity in responding to concerns, addressing public nuisances, and improving neighborhood quality. I would say code enforcement this last year really emphasized education. I think education has been a most important tool for us rather than our enforcement actions. It's all about educating our business owners, our property owners, our occupants to minimize long-term effects or violations. Next slide is just a quick recap of our growth change from last year's or 24-25 fiscal year, last year's fiscal 25-26, and the change overall, the percentage change. To talk about the education portion, education has been very vital to seeing all the declines. We've seen a decline in service requests. So that just goes to show that us educating our residents do really decline cases received, inspections, re-inspections all declined due to education. Now, once education does not work, that's where the administrative citations come in, where we did see a 80% increase from 24-25 to this last fiscal year. Next slide, we're going to be talking about quarter two now. So our quarter two stats from April 26 to June 2026. Each interaction is an opportunity for code enforcement to educate, provide resources, explain requirements, and guide property owners or occupants toward compliance, voluntary compliance. Through consistent education and follow through, code enforcement works to create lasting solutions and not just simply enforcing violations. This last quarter, code enforcement actually issued 125 courtesy notices rather than opening cases, going through the whole notice of violation process. It really builds a very strong connection between city and our constituents. So the next slide is a comparison between the last presentation when I was here and this last today's presentation quarter. Relatively the same. Requests closed, relatively the same. Actions is kind of where we see the decline. We have almost an 11% decrease in action, going back to education. Less inspections, less admin sites, less cases because of education. Okay, next slide. Quarter two challenges. I think while gathering all the data, I've noticed that illegal dumps have really been a big issue in our city. So just from April to June, we see an overall 69% increase. From April to May, it was a 27% increase in illegal dumps. So we went from 33 trips to Bertolotti to 42, and then in June, we went all the way to 56. This is a very important piece to help code enforcement and other agencies or other departments within our city to coordinate, to look for strategies and really educate the community on, leaf and limb. That's a really important thing. Illegal dumps that stem from camps. So there's a lot of things that, are taken into consideration, but illegal dumps have been a big issue this last quarter. Our next slide, our projects within code enforcement. I love my team. I love our projects. I love how really in depth we work with our other departments. Just to talk a little bit about our projects. So the first photo on the left is a project that stemmed actually from a code enforcement meeting. We met with the streets department. Street sweeper had not been through Colleen, Della area for months. And if you guys know the area, it's flooded with abandoned vehicles, homes, or vehicles that stem from the housing next to it, the apartment complex. We were actually able to get all the vehicles out, and that was the product of the street cleanup. It was beautiful. The one below, the picture below that is actually code and the streets department doing a cleanup. That actually stemmed from a camp call. So we went out there, camp was hiding under overgrown vegetation. Code enforcement actually was able, with the help of the streets department, was able to take out, I believe, 12,000 pounds of trash and debris, hopefully to eliminate any further camps and you just protect the city's business area from that and that photo. Coffee with a cop, very important to us. It gives constituents, residents, business owners, anybody to really talk to code enforcement officers about processes, violations, anything code enforcement realm. So that's a picture of us out there. To the right, column to the right, is a cleanup that code enforcement conducted in a residential area. Home was abandoned. We had several complaints from surrounding neighbors about vector infestation, so rats, all those things. And potential fire hazard. The photo below is the cleanup code enforcement did, how it looked after. It's all about hearing our neighbors and understanding their concerns. So that was a project that we took on. And last photo is an illegal vendor, a food vendor inspection with DER. This is a huge issue City of Ceres has, I guess, obtained. We are actively working with DER on a monthly basis, even weekly basis, to help eliminate, educate, and inspect these vendors. And next slide is our code enforcement focus. So really what code enforcement truly is focusing now is on just community relationship and professional development in the near future. Again, educating our residents is very important. I know a lot of our residents are unhappy when they get that notice of violation, but we're here to educate them to help mitigate any future issues, as well as just because our team is so small, just really giving them the most opportunity to professionally develop classes, all that good stuff. So last slide is our contact information. I guess just to reiterate code enforcement, we take all of our complaints very seriously. If anybody has complaints, our GoGov system is up, ready to take your guys' complaints, and we have our officers ready for those complaints. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Oh, any questions? Any questions?
I just wanted to say, for a 3-person unit handling 936 encampment abatements, 418 illegal dumps, and then you guys performed 894 re-inspections, a total of 116,000 pounds of debris. That is incredible. And I just want to show that to the city. If this presentation does not demonstrate how hard this team is working, I don't know what else does. The last question I do have is more towards Chief. Are there any additional ordinances currently being developed that could give our city more tools to continue addressing blight and encampments?
Yes, good evening, Mayor. We do have 2 ordinances coming to you, both related to parks, I believe, and to the infrastructure of those parks so that we can keep them safer, not allowing people to store their belongings in our public parks. And that comes next council meeting.
Thank you very much. And I'll go ahead and open this up. Councilwoman Otero.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, thank you for the presentation. I was really happy with your last presentation, so I was looking forward to tonight because you present everything really well. I'm just happy. I mean, like the mayor said, you have a very small team, and so I appreciate all of you and the work that you guys are doing, being a small team in our city. I do appreciate hearing about the revenue recovery efforts. I think that's huge, especially to help put towards maybe like professional development, like you said, or some of the other things that you need to take care of. You mentioned revamping some process. That's great to hear because I think that's important. We look at changes that we can make to make things better. And I really like the education factor. Sometimes, that helps build relationships, and it also, informs people that may not understand the rules. So I do appreciate you doing that. And then, like you said, hearing neighbors and understanding concerns, making that connection is critical. So thank you for all the work that you guys do.
Thank you very much. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to congratulate you guys and your team. I've seen you guys out in the streets. I remember one time a few months ago, I saw you out there, and Chief Johnson was out there with you guys as well, working on a project. So I appreciate that. All the efforts, your guys' initiative to try and get some funds back. I had 2 questions, possibly 3. When you go out and you do those educational events and you go confiscate things, do you have English and Spanish educational information?
We do, yes. Usually provided by the Department of Environmental Resources. But because our violators been here multiple times, we kind of surpassed the education part. They've been educated many times prior. So once that stage has happened, it's just really about quick education and enforcement inspection.
Awesome. Thank you. And then my last question was about our series or our city app. Do you know how many open cases you have of blight or any issues that have been reported have come from the app? Would you be able to like look at that data or focus down specifically on that?
Yeah, I would be more than happy to reach back out to you. I know currently we do have roughly around 35 open cases. To give you an exact number of if they're constituted as blight or not, I would not be able to give you that answer, but I'd be more than happy to send you an email about which ones fall under blight.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all the work you guys do.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Councilwoman Vieira.
Thank you. I think they kind of answered most of my questions. I do have to totally agree with what everyone had said. I do appreciate the fact that you are doing the educational component of it first, because there's a lot of stuff that changes faster than we can keep up with. So, and I think that's key. I also appreciate everything. I know Jack has been helping me with a few things in my district, including, foreclosed home and Tuscany Village. And I was glad to see the gates up and the weeds trimmed. So I appreciate you helping me make sure that finding the owner, making sure that happened, as well as some of the violations that we've had in there, because I do see them occurring occasionally. So I appreciate that. But that's really what I want to say. I think they kind of answered all my questions or asked my questions, but I appreciate and I look forward to future presentations and continued work. And if there's anything that we can do to help, always reach out. I know the chief is there. He usually stays pretty open with communications on what we can do to be proactive and help you with your guys' job. Thank you.
Thank you once again.
Thank you, Council.
Moving on to citizens' communications. While the City Council welcomes and encourages participation in City Council meetings, adopted rules allow no more than 5 minutes. Resolution 2007-106 for expression of non-agenda items. Matters under the jurisdiction of the City Council and not posted on the agenda may be addressed by the general public. However, California law prohibits the City Council from taking any action matter which is not on the posted agenda, unless it is determined to be an emergency by the City Council. Citizens are entitled to address the City Council on any agenda item subject to the 5-minute provision. Anyone wishing to address City Council must adhere to the rules of decorum. And the rules of decorum are posted outside the chamber doors. Are there any representatives here today or on Zoom? Seeing none, go ahead and start off with yellow cards. Galen, you have a general comment, sir. Go ahead.
It's pronounced Galen, but thanks.
Galen.
Galen Guzman, City of Ceres resident. I have a couple of things that I like to talk about. One being that throughout the years, there's been an increased number of MVAs, motor vehicle accidents, at the intersection of Hackett and Morgan. And I was just wondering if we could get some dots, put there by the stoplight to prevent future accidents from happening. The reason I bring this up is because recently I was going to my parents' house in Turlock and noticed that there's at a T intersection, the city of Turlock placed these dots, which make the driver more aware that there's a upcoming stop sign. I know that we could all be distracted by XYZ and perhaps on our phones, but given that there's been an increased number of accidents, if that's something that the city could look at to hopefully prevent future traffic accidents. And the dots that I'm talking about are like kind of similar to the ones that you see on when you merge lanes. It's like those yellow dots, but instead of them being yellow, they're white and they're like a circle. So yeah, that's just something I'd like to comment. And then secondly, let's see. This kind of ties into number 3, but I'm going to talk about it just a little bit now because it's not totally pertaining to number 3 on the agenda item. But through some public records requests, I've come to find out that there's like a conflict of employment with one of the third-party engineering consultants that the city hired. The reason, wait, I got 3 minutes. Okay, so specifically talking about Leah Simnovakis, she was the community director, the community development director for the city of Ceres from April of 2024 to April of 2025. Now she went private, and then later on, this same consulting firm was awarded the REAP 2.0 grant money from STAMCOG. Now, under the general provisions of the contract, in this contract with Northstar Engineering, section 3.52, I believe, or something like that. I haven't screenshot it. It says that you can't be employed with this. You couldn't. I'll just read it. Anyways, you can't be a previous city employee within 1 year. And they were awarded this contract 3 months later, which would be like in July of 2025. So why is that? It specifically said prohibited. So I think it missed a lot of people, and that's not okay. So that's just one thing. And then also with when she came to present last city council meeting, there was no name to what company she pertained to. It just said City of Ceres. There was no business company or entity that she's associated with. So I just wanted to bring that up to your guys' attention. And then I did ask her, just to clarify, after I spoke, I did go ask her back there. She was sitting with Travis Hudson. And I asked her, what company do you work for? And she said Northstar Engineering. So, and then I also read something in the city newspaper that said that she worked for like that other firm, engineering firm, Joe, I can't pronounce it, but so it's with a G. But I knew that was incorrect because I had asked her personally at the last city council meeting on July 27th. And then also, I'm not sure if this is allowed, but I did request also some 700 forms. And throughout my looking at the documents, I noticed that our city attorney, not you, Nubia Goldstein, yeah, just to clarify, she owns like 10% or less than 10% of like the law firm. So I don't know if that's a conflict of interest or if that's allowed. I don't know the legalities of it, but I would just like the council to look into it, perhaps. So yeah, I think that's it for now. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. Next person, please.
Dave Pratt of Ceres. I read in the Ceres Courier by the end of next year, all the traffic lights should be updated and be ready to be synced. All I can say is I'll be the judge of that.
Thank you, sir. Next person, please. Seeing none. Anyone on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Emails.
We did receive one email for citizen communications. This is from Jerry Greer, and it reads, as a Ceres resident for most of the 25 years, there is a long list of things that need attention. The following are notable. 1, enforcement of vagrancy, traffic, and theft laws locally. 2, keeping our parks and thoroughfares clean and landscaped. 3, being more business friendly and forcing existing ones to clean up and maintain their own properties. 4, strictly enforce no overnight parking and camping in the city.
Thank you very much. We will now close public communications. Moving on, is there any conflict of interest from the city council? And seeing none. Moving on to appointments to boards and commissions. This one is selecting the interview format for the up and coming Military Appreciation Committee interviews. And this will be read out by our city manager, correct? Or is there anybody else who will be doing this today?
I'll actually be taking this one over.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So the Recreation Department has been advertising for a vacancy on the Military Appreciation Committee. That recruitment closed today. We did receive 2 applications. Unfortunately, both of those applications are outside of the city limits. So we will need to extend the recruitment in hopes of getting more applicants. But at this time, we would at least like to have council determine if we're going to have in-person interviews or subcommittee interview.
Give me a point of clarification, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fallon, those two residents that were from Modesto, do we confirm that even though they have Modesto addresses, they're not Ceres residents that have the ability to vote in our elections? Because I know there are a few people in the Hatch area that are near River Road whose addresses come up as Modesto, but they vote for their council member and our mayor.
Yeah, good question. Thank you. And that's exactly what I wanted to make sure of as well. And we did confirm they are both outside of Ceres city limits. It's not just because they have a Modesto address that still reside in Ceres. It's not that case.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you. Continue. So
Council will need to make a motion for the type of interview
the type of
process they
interview.
want to have.
Okay. I should have remembered that. So with this being said, we'll go ahead and actually open this up to the public first before we make that decision as a council. Is there anyone in the chambers that would like to comment on this item?
Good evening, council members. John Warren, City of Ceres. In reference to the address of the two applicants, I have no idea of what they are, but I do know one of the criteria that was kind of set for the banner committee and the posting of the banners was the Ceres Unified School District boundaries. So a person could be living outside of the city limits, but still be within the Ceres Unified School District, those particular zip codes, and they would qualify for being part of the banner and have a banner posted here in the city. So I don't know if that's something that might be considered. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warren. Is there any additional comments from anyone else? Anyone online?
There are no hands raised and no emails received.
No emails received. Okay. So I'll bring this back to the council for any comments. Councilwoman Otero.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not opposed to opening it again. I think that's a good idea. But I would say maybe we should consider, if no one else puts in, maybe we do go with the Ceres Unified School District area and use that, especially if there's not much interest in this committee. And I would be supportive of doing a public interview. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just on that note, even though we are talking about how the format will be, if I can make a recommendation, regardless of today's decision, that possibly your committee meet and maybe talk amongst each other, maybe give us some more advice as this process goes along as a recommendation.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Thank you.
No problem. And Councilwoman Vieira.
Thank you. I do agree with what both of you said about I'm not opposed to having it reopen. I also would like to, if there's not interest, I would like to have maybe Serena meet with the group and maybe see where their feeling is. And maybe if they know people, maybe they can reach out to other veterans in the area that would be able to have interest. Maybe they don't know what it involves and how much time. And maybe we can kind of get some of that open communication going. But like you said, I'm open to having a public interview. I would love to hear about their service and their commitment to the community and their sacrifice that they've already made for our country. So I'm open to the open interviews as well as extending it and then hearing back from what you guys think. Because again, you guys are the ones that are making the ultimate decision and know better than what I would know, what the committee feels best for them.
Okay, with that being said, looking for a motion in regards to whether this is a open meeting or a closed meeting.
I'll make a motion to have the Military Appreciation Committee interviews held in public.
I'll second.
Get a roll call, please.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Otero,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Before I vote, are we not also putting in the motion that we're opening it up to continue and also allowing Councilmember Otero and the committee to sit down and meet?
Point of order.
Point of order, you can do that just by consensus and direction of staff. I don't think there's necessary to make a motion.
Okay, well then, yes.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
And I am looking for consensus on the last two items that Vice Mayor mentioned. Yes with me? All
Yes.
yeses. Thank you very much. Moving on to the consent calendar. Before we do, we have one item, which is number 5 on the consent calendar. It is being pulled by the staff and will be considered at a future meeting. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered routine in nature and will be acted by a single motion unless otherwise requested by an individual council member or the public in special consideration. Otherwise, the recommendation of staff will be accepted and acted by a roll call vote. Is there anyone on the council that would like to pull an item on consent? Seeing none, is there anybody in the audience that would like to pull an item on consent? 7 it is. Thank you very much.
If you could have her,
Oh, I'm sorry. Just for decorum, if you could please step up to the podium and make your request at the podium. I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Shirley Rogers, Series, please pull 7.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Is there anybody else? Anybody on Zoom?
there are no hands raised.
Go ahead.
I wrote it on my yellow sheet, but number 3.
Yes, number 3. Okay, bring this item back for motion.
Make a motion that we accept items 1 through 2, 4, 6, and 8 through 9 of the consent calendar.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Otero,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, item number 3, please.
Delan Guzman, City of Ceres resident. So yeah, like I was saying earlier, my public comment with the whole thing of the conflict of employment, I have it pulled up here. It's under the general provisions of the contract with North Star Engineering, section 3.523, 3.5.23. Conflict of employment reads, employment by contract of personnel currently on the payroll of the city shall not be permitted in the performance of this agreement, even though such employment may occur outside of the employee's regular working hours or on weekends, holidays, or vacation time. Further, the employment by contractor of personnel who have been on the city's payroll within 1 year prior to the date of execution of this agreement, where this employment is caused by and or dependent upon contractors securing this or related agreements with the city is prohibited.
Thank you.
And again, this is with Leah Seminovakis. When I read the minutes, it didn't really include any of her presentation, her name on the presentation, nor what business entity she was associated with. So that's like a red flag for me. Not really, it really bothers me because you guys are not really being transparent. And given that this engineering firm received a lot of the StanCog money, which I found out through attending the Planning Commission, the 6th housing element cycle, during the Planning Commission meeting, I found out that majority of the money that StanCog released to the City of Ceres was granted to this, was given to this company. So I just have a lot of concerns, and I will be reporting this to the civil grand jury because this is not okay. And I want this to be further looked into and other areas of City Hall that might be deficient or any policies that might be deficient. So I'd just like to be transparent with you guys. Thanks.
Thank you very much, and we look forward to responding to that request. Anybody else on item number 3? Brings that back for council. Any comments on 3 and or a motion?
Make a motion to accept item number 3.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Otero,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, item number 7.
I'm still Shirley Rogers Series. My heart hurts when I see that you're going to retire a beautiful canine and you call it a sale. Please, whatever it is, I'll pay it again. It was $1 last time. Stop selling our officers.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else that would like to make a comment on item number 7? Anyone on Zoom?
There are no
I'm sorry about that, Chief. Would you like to make a comment in response to that comment?
I would like everyone to know that we are going to retire our canine officer, Odin officially tomorrow about 4:45 in front of the police department, and we'll be doing a sign off over the radio if the public would like to come and witness that.
Thank you very much. Alan, you said nobody's on Zoom.
Correct. No hands raised on Zoom.
Bring this item back for a motion or comments.
Make a motion to accept item number 7.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Otero,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Moving on to a public hearing. This is a resolution ordering the levy of assessments for the 1987 Landscaping and Lighting District for the fiscal year 26-27. And this will be presented by our engineer, Michael Beltran.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Before you tonight is the annual levy assessments for the city's 1987 Landscape and Lighting District for fiscal year 27. The district was originally formed in 1987, and over the years, additional subdivisions and special benefit zones have been annexed into the district. These assessments help fund street lighting, right-of-way landscaping, median landscaping, park maintenance, and the administration associated with those improvements. For fiscal year 27, the total proposed assessment is approximately $527,600. This year's adjustment is based on a West Urban CPI of approximately 3.121%. For single-family street lighting, the annual assessment increases from $27.94 to $28.81, which is an increase of 87 cents per year. Right-of-way landscaping increases from $9.53 to $9.83, or 30 cents per year. Within the special benefit zones, the Brown median assessment increases by $2.59 per year, Devontae increases by $11.63 per year, and Eastgate increases by $2.49 per year. Because some of the parcels are subject to overlapping assessment categories, the total increase to a particular household depends on which assessments apply to that property. For example, a typical Devontae property that is also assessed for street lighting and right-of-way landscaping could see a combined annual increase of approximately $12.80, or about $1.07 per month. The assessment amounts also vary from one area to another because each area is assessed based on the specific improvements that benefit that area and the methodology established for that assessment. A higher assessment does not necessarily mean that a neighborhood receives a higher level of service. For street lighting, the engineer's report considers the number and type of street lights serving the area and the associated operating and maintenance costs. As an example, an area with 20 lights would have a different underlying cost than an area with 10. The assessment methodology can also vary based on acreage, street frontage, number of units, or a per lot basis depending on the type of development. Same concept applies to landscaping. The higher assessment does not mean additional mowing, trimming, or higher level of maintenance is being provided. It can simply reflect that an area has more landscaping, more median area, or fewer properties over which those costs are spread. For example, the Devontae zone consists of only 55 parcels, sharing the cost of maintaining the landscaping along River Road and Mitchell Road. The calculated assessment needed to fully cover those costs is more than $1,100 per parcel, while the actual authorized assessment for this year is $384.23. It's about an $700 to $800 shortfall. Eastgate, by comparison, has 1,384 parcels, sharing the cost of its landscaping improvements, which results in a different assessment structure and rate. These areas were also annexed into the district at different times and under different approved assessment methodologies and maximum rates. Because of that, comparing one neighborhood directly to another based only on the annual dollar amount does not necessarily provide an accurate comparison. The important point is that each assessment is tied to the specific improvements and special benefit associated with that area, and a higher assessment does not mean that a higher level of maintenance is being provided. It is also important to note that the assessments do not fully fund the current cost of operating and maintaining these improvements. The engineer report identifies funding shortfalls in several categories, meaning the city continues to subsidize a portion of these services. The report notes that we have an approximate $139,800 shortfall, and our fiscal year city budget has set aside approximately $156,000 for the same year. Staff recommends that City Council conduct the public hearing, confirm assessments, and adopt the resolution ordering the levy assessments for fiscal year 27. That concludes my presentation. I'm available to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and open this up to the public. Anyone in the chambers that would like to make a comment on this item? Seeing none. Anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, I bring this item back for council for any comments and or questions. Councilwoman Vieira.
Thank you. Beltran, I have one quick question for you. If this did not pass, would the fees fully come from general fund, and how much would hit our general fund?
So if this did not pass at all and we were not able to assess any assessments on our tax rolls, we would be 140 and 520. So it would be about $675,000 to $700,000 that would need to be subsidized.
And that would come from our general fund or reserves.
That's presumable where it would come from.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Otero.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mike, for that presentation. You did cover a lot of the questions that I had asked via email, because I was concerned that some of the higher levied areas don't appear to be receiving any higher level of maintenance, but you did explain that well. I'm still concerned with these landscape and lighting districts that we aren't maintaining how we should, at least in the past year. And the year before that, since I've been on council, because there's shrubs dying, there's been no replacement plantings, all of that. And I assume that some of that comes out of this fund, including like the tree roots and the stumps that are growing and breaking the sidewalks and all of that. But I do have one question. So with the previous landscape contract, was there a breakdown to show a different level of service depending on the landscape district?
I don't know the answer to that question. Vanessa, do you know if there was an actual breakdown in the contract?
I don't have that information with me. I think if anything, Public Works would be able to provide that in more detail.
Yep.
Thank you. I'm supportive of the assessment levy, but as I mentioned at the previous meeting when you did your other presentation, I'm just not supportive of any increases. I think just because we can increase doesn't mean that we should increase it. Like I said, last year many areas didn't receive the sufficient service that they should have got. And I don't think it's fair to the community. I think we need to show some progress first. I think we still have room to improve when it comes to maintenance of our finance status, our funding. And thankfully, Vanessa has been working really hard on many different, concerns that the community has had. But I'm just not supportive of increasing the lighting and landscape district levy. Thank you.
Thank you. I got a question for the city manager. You had mentioned in previous meetings that you were looking into how you can better improve our services in these districts. Could you please repeat what you had mentioned last time, just so I can make sure I understand?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Two things that we're currently working on, we being the city manager's office and the Public Works Department. Scheduled for your next city council meeting will be the award of an agreement for the maintenance of right-of-ways, specifically in the landscape and lighting districts, as well as the community facilities district. So that is scheduled for your next agenda item. And hopefully before that, something that Public Works and I have been working on is a temporary 2 to 3 month agreement with a landscaper to provide the service that Brightview previously provided at our parks. And if we are able to engage in that agreement, that would allow this third-party landscaper just through the rest of the couple summer months that we have where it's very heavy growth season, it would free up our public works staff to do some of the things that are supposed to be supplementing the LOD work, like the right-of-way maintenance, the park maintenance. As it is right now, our park staff, our street staff, and our facility staff are doing all the work that they previously did plus the Brightview agreement, plus the Grover agreement, plus what was the third? We had a third landscaper. So those are two of the things that we're working on right now. One is your next agenda. We have scheduled the right-of-way maintenance for the landscape and lighting district. And hopefully, even before that, we will have an agreement in place with a different landscaper to assist us with the parks that would free up our park staff.
Thank you very much for that update. I do appreciate that. Bring this item back for a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the resolution ordering the levy of assessments of the 1987 Landscape and Lighting District, fiscal year 2026, 2027.
I'll second that.
Good roll call, please.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Otero,
No.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 3-1.
Okay, moving on to new business.
Order, Mr. Mayor. Can I request a 5-minute recess?
Yes, sir. We'll now move on to a 5-minute recess. Have everyone please have a seat. We're getting ready to commence the meeting. Okay. New business. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ceres adding Chapter 15.18, Electric Vehicle Charging Station Permit extending to the Title 15 Building and Construction of the Ceres Municipal Code. Tom?
Good evening, Council. Thomas Rumlinger with the City Attorney's Office. So tonight we have for you the introduction and first reading of an ordinance to adopt the Electric Vehicle Charging Station Permit streamlining for the city. And that, just as a heads up, this is the public hearing will be held at the next reading, at the second reading. So no public hearing tonight. So the state legislature has declared electric vehicles and their charging stations a matter of statewide concern. And so has therefore required that every city and county pass an ordinance that streamlines the permitting for these residential and commercial charging stations. So this ordinance is required by state law, and what it does is it limits the discretion of the building inspector to only objective criteria, and the only denial that they can issue is if there is a specific threat to public health and safety. So essentially, if you submit an application that's complete, you'll be approved absent some exigent circumstance. So what this does is it requires the city to post a application online, an application checklist that individuals can fill out, and that'll be submitted electronically to the building inspector. And then the building inspector has a limited timeline to review that and deem it complete, and then subsequently approve it. And so these are all required by state law. And so this is actually pulled from an example ordinance that is proliferated throughout the state. So very similar to a lot of other jurisdictions. And so we have the ordinance. We also have the checklist attached there for you. That's what's going to be posted online. So happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and open this up to the public. Any members of the public that would like to make a comment on this item? Seeing none, bring this item back. Anybody online?
No hands raised on Zoom.
Okay, I'll bring this item back. Go ahead, Councilwoman Otero.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you for the staff reports. I do have questions for, I believe is Julian or City Manager. I did ask these questions via email as well, but for the record, I just want to make sure that we also share with the public. What has been the city's process prior to the proposed change? Has there been a process?
So currently, the process for submitting is like you would do your building permit. So everything is done electronically, and it's referred to the building department with Stanislaus County, and the code is followed by the California Building Code.
And is there a cost to the permit? Because I didn't see it on the checklist.
There is a cost. The costs vary from project to project because it's based on the evaluation of the project.
And then last, I know there was mention about submission. Will the checklist be fillable once it's on the website and then they can do like an electronic submission?
That is correct, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Vieira.
Thank you. Couple of questions. I was just wanting to confirm this still aligns with or is in compliance with CalGreen requirements, because I think CalGreen requirements have almost the exact same thing outside of the checklist.
That is correct.
Okay, so we've been following the CalGreen requirements in all of our construction projects.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so we're basically just adopting a checklist. Is that what my understanding is?
Yes, I believe that's what the state requirement is.
With the ordinance.
Right, yes.
With the ordinance.
And to expedite the review and the permit issuance.
Okay. Have we had a significant amount of requests? Because I think we have, 3 or 4 in the city?
We have 2. I'm trying to think because they're very small. So this is ordinance. When I was reading it is more for like the larger EVgo or Tesla charging stations. It also reflects to the little ones too. We have Wood Springs has some for public use. I believe Panda Express has like 2, Grubhub has 2. So we have a lot of smaller ones within the city. I believe there's one on Morgan and Whitmore that has one. So we do have some we have one right here out in our own parking lot. That's the one there too.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Vice Mayor.
Oh, no, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was going to ask the same question, the number and location in the city, but Councilmember Vieira asked for me.
That was good. All right. How about an opportunity for a motion? If there's anything else.
I'm happy to motion the ordinance or the first reading of the ordinance for City of Ceres, adding Chapter 15.18, electric vehicle charging station permit expediting, and Title 15, building and construction of the California Municipal Code.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Vieira,
Yes.
Councilmember Otero,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Martinez,
Aye.
Mayor Lopez.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Moving on to the discussion item, report on the Planning Commission's recommendation for interim urgency ordinance imposing a temporary moratorium on new fueling stations and car washes. And this is also will be led by you, Tom.
Yes. So tonight before you, we have an informational item and no action is required. So what we wanted to inform you of is the recommendation from the Planning Commission. They made 2 separate recommendations that you approve a temporary moratorium on gas stations and car wash entitlements under your authority in the government code. And so I'll go through a little bit of the process that we went through. There's been a bit of confusion. So this item originated as a Planning Commission referral item. And so staff brought back to the Planning Commission a discussion on the gas stations and car washes status in the city. And the Planning Commission directed staff to bring back an action item that we could for the recommendation to the City Council. A bit of background: the Planning Commission has a recommendation authority for items involved in planning in their purview, so that's what they were relying on. So prior to moving forward with that action item, staff felt due to the required time to make that moratorium legally defensible, we needed some authorization for staff time. And you guys know that since we brought you an item requesting direction on any additional staff time to spend on this moratorium. You had declined to give consensus to provide additional staff time. So we stopped our work on the substantive portion of it, but we still wanted to respect that Planning Commission authority. So we did put the the action item in front of them so they could discuss it, and if they deemed fit to make the recommendation. And so we explained all that to them, and they, given their discussion, they decided to move forward with the recommendation. And so here we are, just informing you of that recommendation, giving you an opportunity to discuss it. Anything else you want to address, but we're not requesting any information or any direction from you at this time. Happy to answer any questions and on either the moratorium or the process.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and open this up to the public. Is there any members of the public that would like to make a comment on this item?
Shirley Rogers, how much does it cost and what does it cost so far for the attorneys to work on a moratorium?
Well, I wouldn't have an exact number, but we're looking at maybe 10 or 15 hours to draft a ordinance and findings and staff reports.
There's no gas station or car wash that's going to come here without doing their due diligence to make sure they're going to make money, which is tax money for us. So if you put a moratorium, again, there you go with the attorney, money, money, money. Money going out, not money coming in. If you don't want a gas station, just say no. You don't have to have a moratorium. You don't have to have a lawyer doing all that work. Do it simple.
Thank you very much. Next person, please.
Dave Pratt on Ceres. I'm not, it's one thing that you look for putting these gas stations and car washes a little bit farther out, but majority of them are down Mitchell Road. And then farther out, you don't have anything. I'd like to point out the one on the code enforcement, one at the Triple R. That place has had more downtime than anything. It's changed hands so many times, nobody can keep that thing keep that operating. That gas station should never have been built there. Matter of fact, my recommendation is it should be tore down and just make a parking lot for the businesses that are doing business over there. All that is doing is collecting weeds and other garbage that piles up there, and it's just a nuisance.
Thank you very much. Next person, please.
My name is Jorge Guerrero. It's been a lot of conversation in the community that there is enough car washes and gas stations. Just compare the per capita car washes and gas stations that we have in the city compared to Modesto and Turlock, or two neighbors. These car washes generate minimum revenue for the city because they work through memberships. So there is minimal tax revenue that the city collects, which is basically the business license fees. More car washes and more gas stations don't mean more vehicles traveling through our town. It just means that the pie is cut in more slices, meaning the revenue that these gas stations would make is distributed amongst more gas stations or more car washes. None of the car washes are packed all the time. You are in and out of the car wash at the most in 10 minutes when they're busy. The new car wash in District 2 never has a line like it was expressed by at a council meeting a month ago. I take my vehicle there twice, and there is never a line. I drive by it daily, and there is never a line like it was expressed a month ago. Our city needs to change from being a bedroom city to a city that attracts people to spend money in it. We have car washes, gas stations, and chicken restaurants. The limited spaces that we have need to be developed, looking towards the future with businesses that the community wants to support. I have never heard a person from Turlock say, I am going to drive 10 miles northbound 99 to get gasoline at the 76 gas station by the new Panda Express in series. It's not a trip that is fun to take. However, every day there is at least a dozen people from the city who drive to Turlock to have a nice steak dinner, to go to the bowling alley, to go to Costco, Dick's Sporting Goods, Boot Barn, and the list of businesses that we could have goes on and on. The community and the planning commission are not asking for you to cancel the permits that we're giving already. The community that you're supposed to serve is asking for you to delay extending new permits because we don't need more car washes or gas stations. Thank you.
Next person.
Colin Guzman, City of Ceres resident. I'm for this moratorium because I think we already have plenty of gas stations around. And then one of the issues that I've come across is that, like, for instance, I think it's correct me if I'm wrong, but 76 off of, what is it, Blaker and Whitmore. I know that there was a change of ownership or management, but like I said, I'm an avid runner, and when I was running on Whitmore Road, the shrubs were really outgrown. Like they were like halfway, 50% or more, like outgrown to the sidewalk. Now that's not like ADA compliant. So I'm not sure if there's like a city ordinance that cracks down on, these lots, commercial lots that are not being maintained properly. They just redid it. I was gonna do a GoGov request, but I think it was like 2 weeks later they did hire someone finally, but it was like a long time ago, like probably like 10 months ago that I I first initially saw it, that the shrubs were like outgrown, the property wasn't being maintained, you know, and if they generate so much revenue, why can't they keep upkeep, you know, their property? You know, it's one, it wasn't ADA accessible, like, and then secondly, it doesn't look good. So yeah, and we already have enough gas stations. So the car washes, it doesn't create any revenue, you know, it's just like a way to make money. And I'm not like, for me, like people's like health and safety comes before money. Like it's always been like that. So I don't look at a business and say, oh, like let's encourage it because it makes money. You know, like we got to look at the risk and benefits of each situation. So like I feel like there should be a due diligence by the city to look at the health hazards and risks of putting these gas stations so close to neighborhoods, because just like at Whitmore Oaks, like it's really close to like I think Whitmore Oaks is like a senior living community, if I'm not mistaken, and that new gas station was placed right by there, you know. So I encourage the city to do the due diligence of assessing the health hazards that bringing more gas stations would bring. And then also with the car washes, you know, the community has been asking for a splash pad, you know, and one of the drawbacks is like, we're going to waste too much water. But, you know, you guys work for the community and for the people, and we want a splash pad. People don't want to travel to Modesto or Turlock for this splash pad, you know. Get together with staff and get like grant funding to make that possible, because that's what our city deserves and that's what they're asking. So that's it.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else? Seeing none. Anybody on Zoom? Oh,
There are no hands.
we actually do have somebody in the audience.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, City staff. My name is Nathan Sanchez, and Ceres is a city that I call home. I made it a point to come out here this evening to just go ahead and share a few words regarding this topic that we're discussing tonight. The community has spoken, not only here, but also outside of here. Not necessarily just the need for businesses, because we all know that is a need that we want, and that is a need that we desire here to help the city in various ways. But what I'm thinking about as well is the other car washes that we already have, the other gas stations that we already have. You know as well as I do that when it comes to a business, it is really a dog-eat-dog world. But I feel that us as residents of the city of Ceres and you as a council, one of the things to do is to protect what we already have, to help it to continue forward, to help these businesses to continue to thrive. No business owner asked me to come out here. I don't even know any other businesses that's going to be opening up personally. Of course, I've heard of them. But keep in mind what we already have. We all feel that there is a sufficient amount of that. And whatever property is open to build on, let's do it for other businesses. That way we can welcome them with open arms. That way to benefit us all as a city in a whole. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There was nobody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
You have emails?
We do have a couple emails on this item. The first is from Angie Riley. It reads, "Good evening. My name is Angie Riley. I'm writing this email to express my thoughts on building more gas stations and car washes in our small city of Ceres. As I drive through Ceres, I have noticed that a majority of the time, there are only a handful of patrons pumping gas. You are able to pull right up to the pump to fill your tank. I live on the west side of the freeway and I have 5 gas stations and 1 car wash within a mile from my house. I don't feel that our city needs to add any more to the 20 that currently exist. We are not in shortage of either of these service stations, and our city deserves more options than gas and a clean car. As a longtime resident of Ceres, I do not agree that our city should build more gas stations or car washes. Thank you for your time, Angie Riley." The next email is from Christina Richards. It reads, I am writing as a concerned resident to respectfully ask the Planning Commission to consider the long-term needs of our community as new development projects are reviewed and approved. Many residents have noticed the continued growth of car washes and gas stations throughout Ceres. While these businesses certainly serve a purpose, it feels as though our city has become saturated with them. I encourage the Commission to consider whether future commercial development could better reflect the needs and interests of the families who call Ceres home. One of the greatest needs, particularly in District 2, is for more activities and recreational opportunities for children and families. Our community would greatly benefit from the attractions such as indoor play center, family entertainment venue, youth recreation facilities, sports complexes, educational activity centers, or other businesses that provide safe and engaging places for children and teens. As our city continues to grow, I hope we can prioritize developments that improve quality of life, encourage families to stay and spend time locally, and provide positive spaces for young people. Investing in family-friendly amenities would help make Ceres a more vibrant and connected community while supporting local economic growth. Thank you for your time, your service to our city, and your consideration of this perspective. I appreciate the work the Planning Commission does to help shape the future of Ceres, and I hope these concerns will be taken into account as future projects are considered. Sincerely, Christina Davila, Ceres resident. The next public comment we received is from Gary M. Condon. It reads, staff, community, and members of the City Council. I first want to thank City Manager Steve Williams for upholding the Planning Commission's ability to make recommendations to the City Council pursuant to Section 2.05.040F of the Ceres Municipal Code. This recommendation was brought before the City Council on July 13th prematurely before the Planning Commission had the opportunity to formally vote on the item. I appreciate the City Manager's recognition of the Commission's role in this process and the importance of allowing the Commission to complete its work. With that said, I and the majority of the Ceres Planning Commission support a temporary moratorium on this item because the data and long-term vision for our city speaks for itself. Ceres currently has 20 gas stations. It is important to note that the staff report does not include George's on Central, the 76 station on Herndon, or Triple R on Whitmore. When those locations are accounted for, Ceres has approximately 4.7 fueling stations per 10,000 residents, compared to a statewide average of approximately 2.6 per 10,000 residents. That means Ceres has nearly twice the statewide average. For comparison, Modesto has approximately 3.6 fueling stations per 10,000 residents, despite having more than 4 times the population of Ceres. Other communities are recognizing this issue as well. Cities such as Manteca have taken steps to address the potential oversaturation of fueling stations and similar uses. The city of Patterson, along with many other cities across the state, have taken a stance against data centers issuing moratorium ordinances. In our city, we are also seeing car washes being developed less than a quarter mile from one another, creating an increasing concentration of the same type of development. Many of these businesses operate primarily through subscription-based services, which means they provide little to no traditional sales tax revenue to the city. If we are going to dedicate valuable commercial land to new development, we should be asking whether the development provides the greatest possible benefit to our community. Tonight, the question before you is bigger than whether Ceres can accommodate one more gas station or car wash. It is about what we want the future of our community to look like. If we want to continue with the mindset of being primarily a bedroom community where our commercial options are increasingly limited to where we fill up our cars or wash them, then you should take no action. But if we want Ceres to grow thoughtfully, attract businesses that are unique and beneficial to our residents, and create more opportunities for people to shop, work, dine, and spend their money here in Ceres rather than traveling to Modesto or Turlock, then we need to demonstrate some long-term vision, and that is up to you, the elected officials. A temporary moratorium gives the city an opportunity to step back, evaluate the data, listen to residents, and determine whether our current policies are serving the long-term interests of Ceres. Gary M. Condit, Planning Commission Chairman. That concludes the public comment received via email.
Thank you very much. I'll bring this item back to council. Councilwoman Otero.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I think it's important for the record to confirm that this is it would be a temporary moratorium and it wouldn't change the already approved gas stations or car washes, correct?
That's correct. Yes. The temporary moratorium, there's a couple options, but it would last for 45 days and extend up to 2 years.
Thank you. And if we take those that are already approved, that is going to add to our existing number, which means we'll have even more services. Before I go into some comments, I just want to ask a few questions. How many new gas stations have already been approved but not built yet? And for city manager or economic development?
We have 3 that have been entitled through Planning Commission.
Do you know how many of those will have a car wash?
0.
And then do we have any standalone car washes that are approved but not built yet? So just a car wash without the gas station?
We have 2 pending.
And last, I do want to ask about sales tax or fees. When it comes to sales tax revenue, what was collected from gas stations last year?
Good evening. Okay. Good evening. Vanessa Portillo, Finance Director. We pulled information for the service stations for fiscal year 25. And service stations generated about $860,000 in sales tax revenue. And that is just a regular sales tax. It represents about 11% of the city's total sales taxes. That is not counting the half-cent sales tax for Measure H. That is about another $400,000 that it was collected from the service stations. And in addition, service stations also gasoline, there is the gas tax, and we collect about $1.3 million in gas tax.
And thank you. Was there tax or fees collected from car washes, and how much was that?
Car washes are a little different. The services or what is provided in a car wash, it is considered a non-taxable service. The revenues that come into the city, it's primarily coming from the business license tax. And when we were pulling this information, we collect about $8,000, roughly $8,500 on an annual basis for the car washes.
Thank you, Vanessa. In regard to the water usage for the car washes, Julian, I know we have water restrictions on residents. Do we track compliance in the water usage for the car washes?
No, but they are recycled water for each of those services. And so car washes are a destination. So for the car washes that we have, although the tax revenue on a daily basis is not significant, but these individuals that are going to the car washes are also stopping in on the areas that are around and increasing the tax revenue for whether it's a fast food or a gas station or the grocery store. So that's something to take into consideration. But yes, the water for these establishments are recycled, and that would be monitored by Public Works.
Thank you. So I do feel that we do have plenty of car wash options now. I think the demand of water should be studied for the car washes. I think because there's compliance that also plays a role. From the community, I've often heard we do have too many gas stations, we have too many car washes, and I don't think that residents are wrong. I do feel we're running out of locations for other businesses that might want to come to Ceres. So it's our job as a council to identify the needs of residents and seek solutions. One thing that has always come to mind, even before sitting on the council, was environmental contamination from the many gas stations, especially being in such close proximity. And Ceres actually had a documented incident with an underground storage tank that caused contamination in groundwater, which was many years ago. This was in 1999. It can happen today still. That case was actually investigated and monitored up until September of 2025. So that's how long they had to monitor this. And then also, I think we need to keep in mind there's a Senate Bill 445. It passed in 2014. So this Senate bill was passed to have gas stations remove outdated underground tanks or make updates to them so that way there's no risk for the contamination to the groundwater. So now we fast forward to January 2025 or January 2026, because as many of you know, legislation sometimes can take a while. That enforcement has now begun. So I hope that our existing gas stations are in compliance, because if they're not, that might possibly cause issues or shut down. And now, vacant gas stations are sitting there, just as we have the Triple R gas station right now as what I consider abandoned. We don't even know the last time that location was inspected, or at least I don't, maybe the city does. And I know that's only one example, but overall, the amount of gas stations still seems like an environmental disaster waiting to happen. This is why I've requested before, we should update our zoning code so we can use vacant land to attract and encourage developers who can assist us in establishing different types of businesses that our city needs. There could be businesses that are looking for specific land use to bring in different types of economic development in Ceres, and we may not have it available because of a gas station or car wash. We also need to keep in mind the housing element. We just talked about the last meeting. The state wants cities to build more houses and wants residents to use public transportation. So now there could be potential limited parking in residential areas, which means the possibility of less vehicles in the future. And that's what our state's pushing. But yeah, our city isn't, I don't think necessarily planning for this right now. Plus the state is shifting towards electric vehicles. We just talked about the electric vehicle, the charging ordinance tonight. So the continued approval of gas stations, for me, it doesn't really add up at this moment. The issue alone, I think, is worth reviewing and understand how other cities are handling, because other cities are starting to take action. I feel it would be worth it for us to explore, like I said, just the situation at hand and look for solutions long term. And I just want to be clear for the record that this wouldn't be permanent. It's a temporary moratorium. We still have growth that's going to happen in the city. We're going to have more residents in the future. But the temporary pause could allow the city to review the existing zoning, locations, the environmental and even public safety aspect of it. And I am one that supports growth and new businesses coming into our city. And I have actually supported gas stations and a car wash while I was sitting on the planning commission. I was also a planning commissioner that had wanted a formal study done on the topic as well, but that didn't go anywhere. So tonight, I just want to reiterate the already approved projects will still remain for construction. I think that's beneficial to our city. So this will be the Maverick and the other additional locations. But aside from that, those are already approved. I think it's time we are strategic about our planning, because growth isn't just for today, it's going to be for years to come. And last, I do want to thank the Planning Commission again for bringing this recommendation, and also to our city manager for ensuring that it did come back to the council, because it has given us the opportunity to have the further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other council members have any comments or questions? Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Julian, currently, how many gas stations or car washes are waiting to go to Planning Commission for approval? Not that they haven't been built and the construction hasn't begun yet, but how many are currently waiting to go to Planning Commission?
So right now we have one application that has come through. And then we have the 3 that are pending that have been approved by Planning Commission.
And Julian, can you walk us through the process of holding a business permit, getting engineering reports, what it costs for the city, and how much revenue that usually generates for you guys? It's not like anyone can just walk in and say, I'm going to build a gas station here today.
So any development that comes into the city is vetted by the business that is coming in. So the service stations for the city of Ceres, we already have an ordinance in place. So there's no maximum than 2 service stations at a four-way stop or 4-way signal light, and only 1 at a T intersection. So we've already set our limits within the city for fueling stations. But when they do come in, they're vetted. So we're talking about excessive capital improvements. So you're talking about your curb gutter, the street maintenance on the undeveloped land that's coming in. So significant impact to the city. They're paying for their building permits, which are very expensive. If there's any CEQA that needs to be done, so anything that has to go through environmental resources is vetted, and it's vetted. They're very taking a look at. So nothing gets approved or goes through Planning Commission until that CEQA letter is submitted to the city. So these, once it goes to Planning Commission, it's I don't know the number off the top of my head for the Planning Commission because these are all CUPs that come through. So these are conditional use permits that are established for each fueling station. Once they are processed through the Planning Commission, then they go into the building department to put building permits. So now, do we say that these gas stations or fueling stations will happen within 6 months to 12 months? It's depending on, one, if they get litigated. So if somebody comes in and appeals the gas station from coming in, then they go to litigation. That can take anywhere from 12 months to 24 months, depending on financially suitable they are. If they financially cannot, because due to circumstances in the economy, as you can see, the Herndon and Hatch Road development, they are continuing to move forward now, but that was on hold for a very long time. But you're going to get a brand new Hatch and Herndon development there. So that curb and gutter, the street improvements, storm drain improvements to help the city, all that is coming in and all that goes to the city. So it is a very significant cost that these companies are going to pay to the city. They do their due diligence. So this is, when they come into our city, it's usually a 12-month vetting. So 12 or longer vetting. So these are communications that we have going back and forth, even before they even go to Planning Commission. So they've done all their testing, they've done all their surveys. So when they come to Planning Commission, we've had several conversations, they've done their due diligence, and so they want to be here in our city.
Thank you, sir. So it sounds like a 45-day moratorium wouldn't make sense. We're going to pay our attorneys and city staff to waste a lot of time and a lot of resources to create something that would probably not even benefit the city. There's a capital improvements, there's time spent in developing and building these to the city, going through engineering, through the county, through CEQA. So at this time, I couldn't support the moratorium. I think that if anybody wants to bring business to the city of Ceres and they want to invest in capital improvements and they want to spend the money and go through the process that it takes to build or open a business, then they should have the right to. And then ultimately, it should go to the Planning Commission where they would make that final decision. So with that, I wouldn't support.
Okay, thank you. Now, I'd just like to make a couple comments. Today we heard 20 fueling stations, we heard 10 car washes, and those numbers do not even reflect information that was presented by staff. And during the Planning Commission discussion, staff reported 15 gas stations, 8 car washes, when pending projects included. Staff also stated approximately 8 car washes for the city, roughly of a 49,000 resident city, was about average for the population. And I went back and I personally confirmed some of these gas stations and excluded any unincorporated boundaries of the city of Ceres. I counted 16 gas stations, 7 car washes. And part of the problem with these larger numbers being circulated is that locations outside of the city limits are being lumped into Ceres. And the Ceres mailing area and the incorporated city of Ceres is not the same thing. Before telling the public that we are oversaturated, we should at least get the basic numbers right. This matters because the exaggerated numbers are being used to justify intervention from the government in a private market. I don't support that. And the economic argument being made is incomplete as well. These projects are not simply a gas pump or a place to wash your car. They create jobs, construction activity, property tax, as we spoke, with this private site improvements and revenue that the city of Ceres will receive. Quick Quack Car Wash project represents about 15 potential jobs. As a matter of fact, I called the applicant on that item once the deliberation was going on with the Planning Commission. And personally, I apologized to him because I told him the Planning Commission does not reflect the priorities and the policy making of the city of Ceres. Maverick is another example. It's been caught up in litigation, as we all very well know. We projected over $629,000 in sales tax revenue. That could have really helped us during the budget season. I can tell you that. Roughly $41,000 from convenience store sales. The project was also projected to employ 15 people. And I understand that the Maverick has already been approved and may not affect this particular moratorium, but that does miss the point. Maverick demonstrates the next project could bring to Ceres. Why would we intentionally close the door on the next opportunity that can generate hundreds of thousands of dollars for our community? I support economic diversification. Bring in more restaurants, bring me entertainment, bring me hotels, retail, technology, manufacturing, and good paying jobs. But we also have to understand that we need to bring more business to Ceres. But it does not mean government picking which lawful business can and can't be allowed to come into the city of Ceres. We've established that. I've always been pro-business, and I will continue to support a policy that creates a protected market for businesses already while telling a new competitor they cannot come in. That's not the way we do business. Government should not create a monopoly, and I've said that plenty of times. We're protecting or protect one business or the other. If the project meets the general plan, zoning requirements, safety standards, and required findings, it deserves a fair opportunity. Ceres is open for business, and my position has not changed since the last time we had this discussion. I will not support this. Thank you. Councilwoman Otero.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to make a few comments. Mayor, you mentioned that Planning Commission, I don't remember your exact words, but they don't make up policy and something else. Can we stop undermining the Planning Commission? It's not fair. We as a council over the years and prior council selects the planning commissioners. They are there to make recommendations to the city council. They're there to make sure that the city has all the right processes in place to make approvals. So I think we do owe some credit to our planning commissioners. I sat on the planning commission as well, like I mentioned, but it's not fair to undermine any of our resident committees. They volunteered to do the work just like we have. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anybody else? Okay. Moving on, there's no action required on this item. Moving on to council member referrals. Council members request to have an agenda item placed on a future agenda pursuant to the Chapter 2 City Council meetings. J, City Council refers to determination of the agenda. We do have several for today. The first one is General Fund Reserves Balance from 2019 to 2021, which was requested by Council Member Otero.
Thank you, Mayor. Sorry, give me 1 second. Let me just note here. So on July 21st, the city manager had sent the council the reserve fund balance for the last 10 years. And it was helpful for the city council to review and look at. But I did have some questions, and I did ask this of the city manager. I wanted him to explain, or our finance director to explain, how the city had approximately 1.1 million surplus in 2019. Then there was a deficit of approximately 96,000, followed by a surplus in 2021 of approximately $2 million. I wanted to know what contributed to this significant increase. But my understanding was that finance would have to do some research on it to answer those questions and determine what factors have contributed to the changes through those years. So I'm requesting that we approve the finance director to conduct the research, and then she can update the council in a future staff report.
Thank you very much. We'll now open this up to the public. Any members of the public would like to make a comment on this item?
Sue Reynolds, City of Ceres. I definitely agree with Councilwoman Otero and believe that this should be done.
Thank you very much.
Galen Guzman, City of Ceres resident. I would like to add that also for like other revenue balances such as like Measure H and like Measure L, if possible, if we could add those. When I interviewed for like the Measure H Oversight Committee, instead of preparing for my interview, I was reading the agenda for like the Measure H committee in like 2 days. So I was, anywho, so I noticed like a discrepancy and I kind of talked about it with the finance director and interim manager, city manager, but if we could also add the Measure H reserve funds balances, because I was taking a look at previous years, the financial reports for previous years, and they sometimes don't quite add up. So if we could take a look at also Measure H funds, thanks.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else? Anyone on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
I'm bringing this item back for any additional comments and or consensus. Councilwoman Vieira.
I just want kind of clarification as to like the amount of time staff would put in, because I think that's excellent information. We definitely would want to understand what's changed either economically. I'm guessing it's going to be based on our economic growth, that kind of stuff. But I also kind of am concerned about extra staff time if they have the time to do it. But I fully am supportive of getting that information and seeing what's changed and why, and what steps we can do to kind of get back to where we were on the good days, the good years.
Councilwoman, go ahead.
I can add to that, Councilmember Vieira. So this might help maybe, I don't know, finance come up with the staff report when they're reviewing the 2021. I think we got consensus to review the CARES Act or the 2021 single audit. So I feel like those years kind of tie into some of those concerns. So maybe it can all tie in for finance.
So would this be different than the annual audit report? Because I think a lot of that itemizes each of our budget years. I just don't want to make sure we're not having staff redo work, or are they just gathering the information that's already out there and just putting it in a really nice presentation that's easier to understand than a lot of these 300-page agendas?
Yeah, I think we owe it to the public to obtain more information and what contributed during those years. I know it was several years ago, but just based on some of the findings that we've seen in these audits and everything, I think we need to make sure that those numbers were correct.
Look at it, 2019, 2020, and 2021? Perfect.
That's correct.
I'm supportive of it.
Any additional comments? We'll do consensus from left to right. Yes? Yes for me. Okay. Next one is speed limit study, requested by Councilwoman Vieira.
Thank you. I know we've had some talks over the speed limit and adjusting speed and speed safety corridors and school zones and adjusting speeds, because although it doesn't necessarily change behavior, we have some laws that are forcing the city into making changes. And I know AB 43, which is safety corridors, and AB 382, which is school zones, implement some safety changes that we have to implement in the city by 2031. And so I wanted to see if maybe we can start the process so we're being proactive instead of reactive and trying to get the process going after the fact or down to the very minute. So if we start now looking for grants and what cities or streets are going to be affected, where, we can start that process now so that way we have the budget, the money, the grant to cover those implementations and changes in the law. And that would probably address a lot of our concerns with the speed limits in front of all of our schools, because I think every parent out there agrees that with school starting, I think tomorrow, right? Wednesday, it's going to be a nightmare in front of the schools. And I think this is something that if we can implement early, I'm supportive of that as well. But I think if we can just get the process starting on AB 43 and AB 382.
Thank you very much. We'll open this up to the public. Any members of the public would like to make a comment on this item? Seeing none. Anyone on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
I bring this item back for discussion, comments, or consensus. Councilwoman?
So thank you, Councilmember Vieira, for bringing that up. I do agree that it's important we start looking at these speed limits near these schools now so we can get ahead. I know Modesto just recently took action on that. I do recall when I had the referral to change the speed limits on Booth and Eastgate specifically, there was concerns about cost. Both of those roads have kids obviously that travel on those roads, ride bikes, walk, play at the park. So if we're going to do this and we're already going to spend money on the signs, which potentially maybe can come from Measure H, I still think we need to incorporate those other two roads. I know Councilmember Casey at the last meeting, there was some discussion between Councilmember Casey and Councilmember Vieira, when he requested those two roads be reviewed. So if we can incorporate that, that would be great. I do support the speed limit changes near the schools, but I think we also need to make sure we're looking at the park areas because people speed there too. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Vieira, go ahead.
Beltran, can I just confirm the safety corridors includes the parks and other areas? Can you just remind me of what areas are covered under the safety corridors under AB 43?
Yes, thank you for your question. So AB 43 is actually the safety corridor law, and that is any roadway that borders a park, the dog park, for instance. Schools generally are going to be taken in by AB 382 because that is the law for the schools. But is what if I could give a little insight on how I'm hearing you guys say this is that if we look at the AB 43 and 382 is very easy. We can set that aside. It's all school zones. AB 43. In a staff report, I could actually bring back a list of roadways that are eligible for AB 43. We can sort through those. We can select all of them. We can select a few of them, however you guys would like to do that, whatever the desire of the council is. And then I can go to the consultant. I can get a price from them. And obviously that would come back to the council for approval for that price. I can tell you that we have already started looking at grants because there is an FHWA mandate that is out there that looks at high retroreflectivity in both all of our signs in the city and with our pavement markings. And there is a chance that we can get a substantial amount of HSIP, which is Highway Safety Improvement Program funds, through the federal government to fund these things. And so I would like to, if we're going to do something like that, bring that back so that we can combine everything. Therefore, if we do decide to change speed limits, those signs will get changed through the grant also into the currently mandated FHWA requirements. So that's how I'd kind of like to structure it. But if you guys, I'll do whatever the desire of the council is.
Thank you. And just to clarify, and I can check with Otero, since you said safety corridor includes streets with parks, that would adjust your Eastgate and Booth concern, correct? And then Moffett as well for Casey.
Yeah, that's correct. And then you have parks in your area.
Mara too. We've had a lot of.
And then the safety concerns that Vice Mayor had as well. So
yeah.
I personally like the idea that the engineer just presented. I would support that.
Absolutely. I think wrapping it all up and putting everyone in the city or in all of the parks and all of our schools and all of our children, and especially going in compliance with state law and trying to get ahead of the grants before everyone's doing it last minute. Maybe we can get more of the money before they run out. So that's what I'm proposing, and I hope you guys will support this moving forward.
Thank you. Looking for consensus? Yes. Yes for me. Okay, there you go.
For me.
Okay, moving on to the last request. Facility and event fee waiver requested by Councilmember Otero.
Thank you, Mayor. I have this referral for consensus, and then I'll have a new one when I'm done. So recently I had learned that the City of Ceres had partnered with a business and hosted an event free of charge. in the large room of the community center. And it just made me think about the inconsistencies that the city has had when it comes to facility use and waiving of fees. The fee that was recently waived was probably the cost that's incurred for staff time or cleanup. It was cost that's used in a room that is still tied to the community center debt that our city owes. So we do need to have a written fee waiver policy. Just as we recently updated the donation policy, waiving fees and partnering is a form of donation that comes from the city and the taxpayers. We need a policy that's going to spell out who qualifies for the waivers, what constitutes a community benefit, along with much more that's going to be needed to, that's going to meet the requirements. I also think there needs to be eligibility criteria. So I recommend that any future fee waiver requests come before the council for full review and approval rather than being authorized administratively. I think that's going to be fair and transparent for the public. And I'd like to see staff come back with recommended options for how we will handle these requests in the future. Thank you.
I will now open this up to the public. Any members of the public would like to make a comment on this item? Seeing none, anybody on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on Zoom.
I bring this item back for comments, questions, or consensus. You okay with that? I just got a quick question, Councilwoman. You know, this referral could possibly come back in the same, and give those similar options, maybe with one of the options of giving the authority to the city manager, but also underlining some of your concerns as an additional option on top of it coming to the city council. Would that be okay?
Unfortunately, that isn't what I request. We need to have, I think it needs to come to the council, to be fair.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, I will be against that because it will prolong the process, and some of these nonprofits will not have the opportunity to do events like we did this last weekend, and they worked really hard. And I know that the Parks and Recs department was working really hard to do that. So I will be a no based on that. Councilwoman.
Based on that information, just the amount of nonprofits, and some of it isn't pre-scheduled. I know there's a couple nonprofits like the Garden Club, the Rotary, a lot of them meet here. Some of it is last minute and they have last minute meetings. I still like the idea of, in the event, maybe a larger event coming to council, but having the city manager have that authorization, or the Parks and Rec where there's a specific policy, because otherwise all that's coming to us and we're having to pick and choose. And I think we have a set number. So I don't think, I'm not wanting to move forward the way that this is proposed. Not that I don't think that it's not needed. I just don't think it's needed in the way that you've articulated it. So I wouldn't be supportive of this right now.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry about that. Actually, Vice Mayor actually pressed his button.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually, after hearing that, do agree with Rosalinda, so I'm going to change mine from a yes to a no.
Okay. We got our consensus now. But with all due respect, Serena, you wanted to make a comment.
Yeah, I just want to make a last comment after I just heard Councilman Rivera. I still, the community center does belong to the entire community. The smaller rooms, maybe that's another option. But again, if staff came back with options on what the fee waiver would look like, I wouldn't be opposed to that if you guys are interested in seeing staff report presented as well.
Okay, thank you. I'm still a no. You got your consensus, Fallon? Okay, thank you. And then you said you had an additional item?
Yeah, I do have a new referral. So our city currently is in the middle of challenging times, and making any administrative changes would not benefit our community or city employees. I feel that we need to focus on stability, leadership, and serving our residents. So outside of any serious ethical violation or illegal misconduct that would require immediate action, I am requesting staff to add a referral to hold any administrative personnel changes for 90 days. Thank you.
Just a point of order. Is that something that would be an open session, or is that at the discretion of the city manager? Just want to make sure.
If it's a general policy, I think that you could do it in open session, but this would be coming back for a referral item for consensus. So the details would be discussed then, but any specific personnel would be closed session material.
Okay. You got that, Fallon? Moving on. Well, actually, before we move on, is there any additional referrals? Okay. Moving on to reports. I know Vice Mayor, you had pushed your button, but I'll go ahead and I'm going to actually make a decision and push up Chief of Police report to the beginning before my mayor's report and the council. Sorry to put you on the spot, but go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. I actually do have a few things to report tonight. I'll start with thanking the council for their support in Prop 64 that I brought a few council meetings ago. So Prop 64 deals with illegal cannabis. And in the last week, we've had two incidents where this has been very important. The first one was a shed that caught on fire on Almond Grove. Inside the shed was an illegal marijuana grow. It caught the main house on fire and the neighbor's garage on fire. I'd like to thank the Modesto Fire Department. They responded very quickly, were able to put it out, but that was caused by an illegal marijuana grow. And then the other was a house on Poppy Lane that we served a search warrant at. The entire house was converted to grow marijuana. And with that, they also found a unregistered handgun inside the residence. So two very significant cases in our city in the last week. And this grant couldn't have come at a better time. So thank you for your support on that. Next is National Night Out. I can't even say how glad I am how that turned out. I know that Nason was here. And Councilmember Vieira, you guys both held and braved the heat, held great events. I loved getting out in the community. We will definitely be doing that next year. I think that we have some fine tuning to do with that, which is great, but overall it was a huge success. Very glad. There is a rumor that we in this county might change it to October. That's not confirmed. I'll keep everybody updated. The heat plays a factor, and maybe moving it to a cooler time of year will help with participation. So more to come on that. Lastly, we had 3 academy recruits graduate the police academy last Friday. And what really stood out to me, besides their hard work, was that they were supported by the mayor, Councilmember Vieira, and Councilmember Otero. That shows from the top down the support that our department has, and I am very appreciative of that. I was there, the lieutenants were there, sergeants were there, officers were there. They all saw the support that the city gives our department, and I wanted to publicly recognize that. And with that, that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Chief. I do have a report. As you just heard the Chief, National Night Out on August 4th was a great success. And I had a great time doing a ride along with you and also the members of the police department. And we also presented a couple of different certificates for our community partners. A great job to the city of Ceres, everyone who participated. I will reiterate. On August 6th, I attended the Ceres Unified School District Back to School event and presented a certificate as well. It was a wonderful event for the students and families, and I know that in the past, Vice Mayor attended that event as well. On Friday, August 7th, the council and I attended the grand opening of the new Central Valley High School Stadium and presented a certificate in recognition of this important milestone. What an incredible moment for the entire community. Congratulations to everyone who helped make that possible. Later that day, I attended the graduation ceremony of the 3 officers, as the chief noted. And like I said, it was a great experience. The last couple of years that you have been putting members, gentlemen and women through the academy, I've been there. And I think it's probably one of the best decisions that you've made, the longevity of this police department. Later that evening as well, I attended a community meeting that Vice Mayor will be discussing after this. In addition to that, me and Councilwoman Vieira attended the annual Assyrian Martyrs Day remembrance and supporting Assyrian families from Ceres and throughout the Central Valley. And that concludes my report. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have one item this evening. This past Friday, Mayor Lopez, Chief Johnson, CSO McCann, and myself with interim city manager met at Smyrna Park with some of the residents from the surrounding neighborhoods just to address some of their concerns with safety during football season. And I know that Chief Johnson's got a couple of ideas together. He's going to be bringing a report back to the council. So I look forward to hearing that.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Otero.
Thank you, Mayor. There was concerns recently with the lights being shut off completely at Ochoa Park. I do want to thank the city for quickly turning those back on. I think we still need to have discussion about maybe possibly nighttime dimming, but I'll further follow up with the city manager. I do want to thank code enforcement and also the La Perla Shopping Center for working together to get their sign repaired finally. I do appreciate that because it was an eyesore for a while. And then I do want to thank parks and facility staff for trying to do what they can right now with the limited resources they have. There's still a lot of work to be done, and I think with all of us working to get together, we can accomplish some of these goals. And National Night Out, I had a lot of fun. So Mr. Sanchez and his wife, hosted the Saturn Court along with all the neighbors, and I stopped by Councilmember Vieira's National Night Out. So it was fun to get out there, and there were some scholarships presented to students, and I did have the honor to present a scholarship to a student named Maya, so she can use that for her future endeavors. But it was a great time. Thank you.
Councilwoman Vieira.
Thank you. I was going to have this in a different order, but I'm really glad you brought up the lights to Ochoa Park. I know I haven't had a chance to talk to you because of the council and different laws, but I actually had some students reach out to me at the college who stated they're the ones that are playing pickleball after midnight over at the park. So they were really upset that the lights were turned off, and they came and found me. I'm like, that Serena's handling that. Yes, but
work on it.
It's good that they're going out and being active. So I do appreciate that. I just don't know how much the residents appreciate that between midnight and 2 a.m. when they're having a lot of fun. They promised they wouldn't yell too much. So with that said, I thought it was kind of comical. So I was like, well, I'm glad you guys are playing outdoors. But they said it's hot, and so it's the best time of the day. So, you can't argue with that. Anyways, I digress. The Free Swimming Day by TID over at the Salvation Army Red Shield was a huge success. Every child actually was allowed to stay an extra 30 minutes. The pool was packed. It was a great season. Right after that, there was a backpack and community resource fair over at the Jubilee Church on the same night, which was another amazing night with resources, information, and free backpacks. And it looked like they even had backpacks afterwards. So it looks like no child was turned away. I do appreciate Series Drip Coffee for making a donation, so everyone was able to, and I don't exactly remember what it was they donated. You want to help me out, Julian? I know it's Series Drips. I know it was one of our businesses that helped sponsor it. I just couldn't remember what it was.
So they donated their coffee they way up for that evening for the community.
And there was approximately 500, 600 people?
500, over 500, and they have an alternative business where they donated a 65-inch flat screen TV to someone in the community.
Yes, and I appreciate that's one of our local businesses giving back to our community, and I want to thank them publicly for doing that. The next day, I went over to another backpack giveaway. They gave away over 1,600 backpacks, and that was offered through the county, and I appreciate being invited and being able to be there as well. National Night Out, I know they touched on it, so I don't want to go too much into more details about it, but I appreciate the businesses, individuals, and staff that made it possible. I appreciate the police coming out. The fire department was out there as well. Lots of sounds and noises, which the kids love, so that's always benefit. The event, we did have over 200 free hot dogs and 200 churros that were given away, and lots of cold lemonade. We actually still had lemonade left over at the end of the night, and there were bacon-wrapped hot dogs with all of the toppings. They weren't just regular hot dogs, so I was really appreciative of the businesses that supported and gave those away. I was able to do a ride-along with our battalion chief, over at Station 15, which is right across the street, our downtown. It was interesting to see the collaboration between the different stations, how it works. I know we had a kind of a major incident yesterday here on Whitmore that shut down the road. I think this is the second time in about 3 days. And to see how that kind of collaborates with police and fire and everything, and how that kind of works. And I really appreciate the battalion chief sitting down and kind of helping me understand how it works in the series when something like that happens. The day before I went out, they had the fire in my district over at Almond Grove. So I was able to kind of see how it kind of worked, how they oversee, how they collaborate, how our city is different than Modesto. in certain incidents. So our police are really proactive when it comes to situations in our city, which some of the other cities are not as proactive as our police are when it comes to major incidents in our cities. So I appreciate hearing that our police are doing great communication and working to collaboratively to make sure public safety is important and key when it comes to keeping everyone safe. So I appreciate both of them working and providing that information so I can get a better understanding of our community. The Hawks, I think almost all of us were there outside of Casey. So it was great. We were all able to join. It was nice to be there together. And the fire department and the police department, we were all there supporting our youth. Again, I remember when they were building the high school, I lived right across the street when it was still almond fields, and then watching it filled. My daughter was one of the cheerleaders there, and they kept saying, we're getting a football stadium, we're getting a football stadium. She's now in her 30s, and we finally have a football stadium. So Chief touched on the graduation, and he didn't really touch on the impact it's going to have on the agency. But I know there's some things that you have in the works where this is going to play key when it comes to working on your real crime. I don't remember what it's called. Your real, like I should know this by now. Real-time crime. Thank you. See, off of where, what am I trying to say? But I know this is the first step. If you want to kind of touch on that, I know you didn't really want to touch on it, but I think it's important that they understand why this is such a great impact to our community.
So actually, it's not the real-time crime center. What this is going to allow us to do is actually have movement in the department. So when these 3 officers clear their training, it's going to allow us to move another additional officer to our traffic unit. So we'll have another full-time traffic officer. My plan is to assign them to a swing shift so that they can help regulate the traffic in the evening hours, which we currently don't have. That also will put a detective into the SIU unit, which is with the Sheriff's Department, which targets major drugs and gangs, which we don't have somebody there yet because of staffing, so we'll be able to put someone in there.
Thank you. I knew there was stuff going on. I just couldn't remember how to articulate all of it. I appreciate that. I know the mayor touched on the Assyrian event. I was very appreciative to be there with them during a very important time and highlight something important to them and their culture. We don't have a Homeless Alliance meeting this month, but we are discussing possible future agendas for next month. And then this weekend is the National Honeybee Celebration over at the Soils Education Center, which is over in Central and Keys at 5956 North Central. They are going to have activities. You can actually help build some things when it comes associated with the bee. I think they're working on some kind of bee collection kit. So if you're interested, it is a free event this weekend. There's some information online. And again, that's on Central Avenue, just south of Central Valley. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on to city manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I do have just a couple of updates for you this evening. First, the police department. I want to congratulate the chief and the entire department for, I believe, with the graduation of our academy trainees, it brings our department to full staffing. So congratulations, chief. I think that's much because of your leadership that we've been able to build the department to what it is today. So you should be proud, as I am. Also, the National Night Out. I know the police and the fire department participated. I believe it was led by the police department. It was good to see the event turn to a more neighborhood-focused, get people out into the community. So again, congratulations, Chief, on a good event. Next is parks. I want to thank our limited park staff, our facility staff, and our street staff for doing what they can. I've been pushing them a little bit to do to give a little more attention to some things that had been previously done either through contract work or not at all. And I want to publicly thank our staff for answering that call when I've asked them to step up and increase their efforts in certain areas. So thank you very much for that. I already mentioned that we have a right-of-way agreement with a landscaper scheduled for our August 24th meeting. So I'm very much looking forward to that, as well as the potential limited term summer landscape agreement to help our staff with some of the particularly River Bluff Park and Smyrna Park. We also have on the September 14th City Council agenda, we have scheduled addressing the playground structure at Independence Park. So we have been working on that for quite a while now. And we thought we might have it ready for August 24th, but it appears that it will be September 14th that we will finally be able to address the play structure at Independence Park. Per the direction of the council at the last city council meeting, I have had initial discussions with Consolidated Fire Protection District, as well as the chief of the Consolidated Fire Department regarding the LAFCO annexation of the Ceres Fire Protection District into Stanislaus Consolidated. I just want to report to you that those initial discussions have gone very well. I do not believe that there will be time to have an agreement between the city of Ceres and the Consolidated Fire Protection District in place before the next LAFCO meeting. But I do think that there is an opportunity for both the city of Ceres and the Consolidated Fire Protection District to adopt matching dual resolutions prior to that LAFCO meeting, demonstrating our intent to negotiate in good faith towards a mutually beneficial arrangement. So that is going to be tentatively scheduled for August 24th, which is 2 days before the next LAFCO meeting. So we're working on that. Both Consolidated and Ceres staff is working on dual resolutions for that. And then my last item is referrals. So I'd like to report to the council and the community that every department in the city now has assigned a council referral item. We were very much backlogged in those assignments. So we are getting caught up on those. And as a department completes a particular referral, meaning they develop the staff report and all of the information necessary to bring back to council for the council to make a decision on whether to move forward with it or not, they will then move to the next item on their department's list. So each department has multiple referral items kind of in their queue while they're working on their first one. So I just wanted to report to the council that that work is moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate your report today. Moving on, City Attorney, do you have anything to report?
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the rest of the department heads. Michael?
So Mayor, council members, so as you've seen, Hatch Road is still undergoing pressure testing right now. They, I believe today, have finished up securing a couple more essentially gaskets within the line. So they're going to start an official pressure test tomorrow morning. Hopefully that goes well, and we will move on to bacterial testing. There's obviously been talk. There's Richland Avenue that is out to bid right now. That extends from Hatch to Herndon. It is a complete reconstruction of Richland Avenue. So as soon as we open bids, we'll open bids on August 27th. We anticipate construction starting in October or November of this year. We will be coordinating with businesses over in the Hatch and Richland area here within the next week to talk about a water shutdown that's going to happen. We did find 2 bad valves that needed to be replaced, and those are going to take a significant shutdown. Before we said, we'll have water back on by 5 a.m. starting at, we started at 9 p.m. Turning valves. That will not be the case with this shutdown. This shutdown will last much, much longer. These valve clusters will probably take the better part of 12 hours to replace and get water back up to everybody. That will most likely happen on 3 separate occasions, excuse me. As we have 3 valve clusters that need to be replaced on Richland, one at Giddings, one at Darby, and then one at Hatch and Richland with the old water line that's there. We will coordinate with those businesses. We'll send out flyers. that are, let people know what is going on, how long we anticipate it. You will see that anticipated outage will be longer on the flyer. We don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. We want to make sure that, this won't just be turning valves. This will actually be replacing valves. And when we do those types of things, as much as I would like to say that construction goes perfectly all the time, it does not. So we will get that done as quickly and as efficiently as possible. But that is something we will be working with the business owners and with handing out door tags and everything to all the residents that will be affected. The last thing second to last thing, we have the City Hall sewer lateral replacement project going on right now. It's kind of a mess in the back of City Hall, in the middle of City Hall. So I want to thank all of the staff for their patience while we go through this. We do not have sewer to the building right now. All of the public is having to go around and use the Second Street entrance. So I appreciate everybody's patience. We are moving as quickly as possible. We passed our first building inspection last week. We do have another inspection tomorrow. And so hopefully that gets passed off and you'll start to see work out in front of City Hall as we start to pour back concrete and everything through the City Hall lobby and out behind City Hall. So that's going well. I predict it'll probably be another couple of weeks, but we are moving along as quickly as possible with that. The last thing that I'm going to be putting together, and I'll be talking to Chief Johnson about it, similar to what he does with Coffee with the Chief. I'm going to be putting together essentially Coffee with the Engineer. And this is simply to help the public understand, inform them of how funds are spent, what funds are spent on what projects are coming up. I'm really want to make ourselves available to answer any questions that the public has. And I encourage when we do get this up and going, I encourage everybody to come, ask your questions. Everybody knows if I don't know the answer, I'll tell you I don't know and I'll figure it out. But when it comes down to it, I want the public more informed on how we are spending money, what restrictions are on those monies, those types of things, and then what projects we have coming up, because we have a lot of really neat things coming up in the city with regard to infrastructure projects, and I want to make sure that the public knows that.
Thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate that. Anyone else?
So good evening, council. I just want to notify we are that time of year again for the CAPER, which is the Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report for the Community Development Block Grant from 2025 to 2026 fiscal year. So that is available on the county website for review. We have a public meeting on Thursday at 5:30 here at the community center to go over the CAPER. And then we have on October 19th, we'll be having a workshop during our planning commission meeting in regards to the downtown specific plan for our housing element. This is going to be a short little workshop on the updates that will be happening to the downtown specific plan, and that will be Monday, October 19th at 6 p.m.
Thank you very much. Unless there is any other additional reports, we'll now go into closed session for a conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, California Government Code 54956.9. Name of the case is Charneet Sunny Guy, Management Services versus the City of Ceres. Stanislaus County Superior Court, Center Valley 25-008-787. If there's anyone in the public that would like to make a comment on this closed session item. Seeing none. After closed session, I will return and I will report out. Thank you, everybody. And we are back, and there is nothing to report. Thank you.